similar class 4 partial denture, metal partial denture. The same principles of support and retention, but because it's pre-formed components, the drawing of the clasp are slightly different. So on the molars we would use circumferential clasp. A circumferential clasp has a rest, it has a retentive arm, and it has a reciprocating arm. So on the molar we'll use a distally engaging clasp. It has a mesial rest, my active arm, and my reciprocal arm. The active arm is always in the undercut area. The reciprocating arm is preventing the tooth from moving lingually or palatally. On my canines I would use cingulum rest again, and I will then connect the denture. This is again to show my, on a metal, my acrylic finishing line where the acrylic will be attached, and in this case we have retention for my acrylic. So you see where we have saddles, we have retention holes, that's what we indicated. And if you look at it again, so all components on a metal partial dentures are not solid lines, so it's circumferential clasp engaging 0.25 undercut, mesially engaging, distally engaging, and rest. So the entire denture is made out of chrome cobalt. Whereas the acrylic partial denture we have attachments and the drawing is slightly different. We'll do another design for another classification just to show the differences again. Let's do the same designs for a lower acrylic partial denture. This is a class 3 modification 1 Kennedy classification. In this case again we will need support from our denture, abutment teeth immediately next to the saddle. Because it's a lower denture, we will have to cover all the teeth because we're using a plate. Rest will be on the canines and on the premolars and the molars in this case. So remember, it's pre-formed components. It's attached to the teeth. We are using a plate. And I'm not going through all the steps. It's just to show the differences in the way we are drawing it. We're using a cingulum rest on the canine. On the molar we will use a C clasp. So the C clasp will engage distal undercut. We need reciprocation. On the molar, in the fourth quadrant, we will use a ring clasp. So the ring clasp will engage mesial undercut, and I connect my denture, and I will use another clasp on the canine because it's a big saddle to show you the difference again. So I have C clasp on all my abutment teeth, which again it's half round wire, and for my mesial rest on the molars I'm using half round wire and a cingulum rest on the canine. Refreshing our memory again. So we're using solid lines for clasp on an acrylic partial denture. If we do the same class 3 on a if I do a metal partial denture, same principles of retention and support. So I'm going to use a rest on all my abutment teeth to support the denture. I'm going to use a lingual plate again. So if I use a lingual plate, I will use a cingulum rest. I will use a distally engaging circumferential clasp on the molar, the 3-7. Remember, circumferential clasp has an active arm and a reciprocal arm. On the 4-7, I will use a ring clasp again. So the ring clasp will engage mesiobuccal undercut. The ring clasp is a mesial rest. The reciprocal arm, a distal rest to prevent the clasp from fracturing, and it engages undercut. And it joins the denture. I'm using a lingual plate again. And then I'm showing that here I will have retention for my acrylic. I'm using a C clasp because it's a big saddle. It's soldered onto the metal framework afterwards. If you look at this, this was a C clasp that is soldered onto the metal. So here we can see that the solder joint, it's a C clasp, and C clasps are used on premolars and molars because premolars and canines, circumferential clasp can only be used on molars because they need length for flexibility. So because it's a soldered clasp, it's an attachment, it's a solid line, whereas circumferential clasps are all indicated with open lines. And the retention holes for the differences between the metal and the acrylic partial dentures.